on the other side of the studio with Media Watch, revved up, ready to go, James Creedon. And I say revved up because the quote that's coming to mind is, not a guitar, not a motorbike. All this is about the dispute over Johnny Halliday's will.
That's right. Wills are often a little bit divisive.
They can be.
They're famously divisive.
But during the funeral, the family looked really unified in December, didn't they?
But we're seeing now that there were cracks, and the cracks are now really emerging. It's a huge story in France today, because any time you speak about Johnny Hallyday, or any time there's news related to him, even after his passing, people take an interest. He's a huge star here. In any case, his daughter, who is quite a well-known actress, Laura...
looks just like him.
She really does. Certainly... Actually, she totally does. I was going to say just the eyes up, but
no, she looks just
everything.
Like him, yeah.
I also think she looks like Kate Blanchett. But anyway, that's
indeed.
That's another story.
I'm not reading anything into that, James.
In any case, she is saying, I got nothing in the will.
It's her quote, not a guitar, not a motorbike.
Not a guitar, not a motorbike, not even the cover for the song that he wrote called her. After Me.
This seems incredibly sad.
It does seem a little bit lacking. But in any case, she is using, I suppose, the court of public opinion in this regard, because she's been really, really public in her unhappiness about all of this. This was her Instagram account today, where she shared a photo with her half-brother, David Hallyday. Interestingly, David went with the stage surname that he kept, Hallyday, and she went back to Smet, which was his original, less glamorous name, Johnny Hallyday.
They're half siblings, aren't
That's
they?
right.
Yes.
So in any case, they are contesting. They're suing his estate, I suppose, really. And the will, his final will, was made in California, which does allow you, in fact, to disinherit children or just leave everything to a spouse.
Which is California.
There you go. You can't actually do that in France. You're not allowed. So you'd have to spend all the money or something like that. Anyway, this is a letter that she actually addressed to her father, Cher Papa, dear daddy. And it's very personal. And this was given to the AFP news agency today, and it is now all over the French internet. And it goes into such things as, just a few weeks ago, we were saying around the dinner table, whether or not I was going to have a child, but now, if I do have children, I won't be able to hand over anything that I got from you, etc., etc., etc. It's very personal.
It's electric, isn't it? Or explosive, or both.
It's very personal. Now, what else do we have? There's lots of different analysis pieces. This is, I think, one of the embraces at said funeral. That's Laetitia, his wife on the left, who is the heir now to everything, including his the rights to his music and copyright and all of that, which perhaps wouldn't be...
To remind people, Johnny Hallyday sold something like 110 million records world over. He's one of the biggest selling artists of all time.
That's right.
Outselling giant bands like Bon Jovi or whoever, you know, that kind of stuff.
But he was also famously... crazy with money. He would pick up the tab for whole groups of people. People would be drinking champagne all evening and maybe more, and he'd pick up the tab for everything. Apparently one time he came back from Canada and he bought a ranch, and they were so in the latter years. There's quite an interesting piece in Les
The movie's going to be great, isn't it? Yeah.
he lived spontaneously. He lived in the fast lane. So he had a complicated relationship with money, which it appears that his wife Laetitia tried to put the brakes on that, and indeed it was his fourth and final marriage, 23 years long, and she did in fact keep his career going throughout that time and sort of make prudent managerial choices for him. But others would have said that she was too much of a gatekeeper, and
But it does appear to have been a genuine relationship. Yes. There's been real sort of love between them, which is something, sometimes there's a sort of cynicism about these things, but there seems to be something nice between them.
And what's going on here is there is
Laura
an appeal.
Smet might have something different to say, but
That's right, but there is an appeal now for public support, and so what Laura Smet has done really in making this very public move ahead of the trial is to try to win over public opinion to her side. She does insinuate in that letter that she didn't have access to her father in the time before he passed on.
I'm just reading there that it says she's saying that she had to contact him in secret and speak to him in secret.
That's right.
So presumably that's saying that clearly she didn't get on with Laetitia, I imagine.
There appears to have been bad blood there, and so there's been a huge amount of interest in this, Mark. I think this piece is actually says it best, I feel. Le Temps de Genève, a Geneva-based newspaper, and they say in their article, no, anything that touches on Johnny Hallyday is not foreign to us. They go on to say that he has been been a huge aspect of French public life for 50 years, and any details of his life are just going to be poured over by the public, and it's no different now with this will. Everybody on social media, for example, taking sides, is saying, well, this one is a bit more. What would you say?
That's funny.
That's money.
I covered the funeral on the day. I was walking along the route and sort of picking up bits and people's feelings and images and stuff along the way, and there was this genuine outpouring of I mean, it seems pretentious to say it, but love for the man, for his legend. For
and maybe
his
no one else in France could do that to that extent.
I don't think so.
Nowadays,
possible,
it was like he was the last
people
great.
Compared it to the scenes when General de Gaulle was buried all those years ago.
Or maybe Princess Diana in another context, that kind of outpouring of public kind of grief. But certainly that's there. In any case, a lot of people trying to understand what was going on in what seems like a somewhat unfair decision to eliminate 2 children from his will, and others saying, look, he was probably simply thinking of his other children, or his 2 youngest children, in the sense that the 2 older ones are not living under a bridge. In other words, they're doing okay. And actually, when it comes down to the legalities of it, this is going to count, because a lot of lawyers have been asked about this today. And essentially, there is jurisprudence on this in France. There was a case going back to September of last year where the Cour de Cassation, one of the French highest courts, said that in the case where a will is written or a trust fund is provided for in a foreign jurisdiction, such as the US, you would have to, in order to kind of get around that, prove that you are in a precarious situation to have that will undone, if you like. So they're not in a precarious situation. In other words, actually the courts are more likely to come down in favour of Laetitia, his wife, his widow, and allow the final will that was done in California to stand.
But neither Laura Smet nor David Hallyday have something to remember them.
I know.
There's neither a belt or
And I think people were commenting on social media
strange,
that could that not have been resolved in an informal manner.
One would have thought.
Right.
One would have thought.
Maybe it will be yet.
I think there's a song in this one, definitely. James, thank you very much indeed for that very sad assessment of what's happened with the Hallydays. It's really sad stuff, isn't it? Thank you, sir, very much indeed. James Crew with the Media Watch, with the bits of court. Kate Moody, thank you. Great to see you. And thank you for being with us. Stay with us. More to come here live from Paris.